good morning, guys, and welcome back to day two of TV Collective Live Festival. How fantastic! How are we all feeling this morning? Give me a little signal in the chat. It's a beautiful day. If you're feeling really flat, give me a one. If you're feeling high energy, give me a 10. Give me a name as well. Let me know who's out there. Come on, don't be shy. How are we all doing? Oh, wonderful. Hey, Waris, good to see you. Who's in here? Who's in here? Give me some signal. Am I talking to myself? Is there anybody here? Is there anybody out there? Hey, Tara. Hey, Sharon. Good to see you. Nine. I love it, Sharon. High energy. I am loving it. Thank you guys if you joined us yesterday. Hey, Palish. Good morning. Good morning, Grayson from Canada. Yay. Still with us. She's a G because it's isn't it in the night where you are? I think it's in the night. I swear it must be in the night. You're like 5 hours behind or be in the morning. Good morning. Great to see so many of you. And Warris, thank you for the shining endorsement this morning. What a wonderful way to wake up. This morning your message was gorgeous. Warris sent a really beautiful message about trying to encourage people to get involved in the festival because he thought it was great yesterday. So we want to keep that at full 30, Grace, and you're a G. We love you. You are a G. So we want to keep that energy up. We've got lots in store today. Two big networking sessions. We've got our international networking session where you'll get to meet Grayson, because Grayson's amazing from Canada. And you'll get to meet other talent from Canada and the States. Really interesting session. We've got another one-to-one if you've got a booked one-to-one with a pitch expert. I believe that's happening a little later on this morning as well. Before we meet David, I'm going to bring David onto the stage in a minute. Lily, before bringing on David onto the stage, do you want to quickly give us a quick whiz tour of the platform that we're using? Because I know not a lot of people have used AirMeet before. Will you join me, Lily? Lily, are you out there? Lily? I'm going to get her because she's disappeared. Let me go and get her. Oh, she's gone. Oh, she is. She's
You know I'm shy.
Right, do you want to give them a whiz bang tour of the actual platform? Yeah.
I most certainly do. So, for those of you who weren't with us yesterday, welcome, welcome. If there are any sessions you're interested in from yesterday that you missed, you can go into your schedule at the top of your screen, and you can press the button that says "Watch Replay," which is a bit fantastic. Next to that, you will see a little. Well, ignore the next two icons because they're a bit weird, but the one next to that is a little newspaper icon. That is the feed, so that is the chat for everywhere. So that's usually where I post info about what's coming up next and what we're doing. But please do use that chat to announce to yourself and say where you are and if you want to connect with people, especially for the lounge, which you saw this a bit just before this session. It was really good. Sharon, you couldn't hear me. So in the schedule, Sharon, if you missed anything yesterday, you can look at the sessions we had yesterday in your schedule and click the button Watch Replay so you can watch them again. And that will be available during the festival until the 28th of September. So you've heard the newspaper icon. Next to that is a little people icon. And if you click on that, you can see everybody registered for the festival. And what you'll notice, which is really fancy, is that you can DM anybody, including Mr. Cornwall, against his will. So please do, be sensible, but do utilize that. We chose this platform specifically for that reason. We can't stop you DMing. You can also request 10 minutes with them, and what this platform will do is send them an email on your behalf and set it up through this system. So do utilize that to really make those connections. And then next to that, you'll have your DMs, which will be obviously anyone you're speaking to privately. Down the right hand side is our menu inside this session. So obviously we're in chat. You can all see it. You're all using it. Beneath that is Q&A. That is for where you'll post your questions for David. It just helps me and Simone moderate the questions so they don't get lost in the source, and we can bring you up on stage if you like. So we'll invite you to ask your question on stage. So look out for that. And then you can also see the people in this session, and it works the same way as the one in the top. You can DM, you can request a meeting, you can follow them. And that is it. And if David has any resources he refers to during the session, I will also post them in resources in this session. In this menu, it will also go to the resources in the main menu. So if you want to watch the replay, you'll get all the affiliated materials as well.
Thank you so much, Lily. That is amazing. And obviously, guys, after the 27th, this session will be available as all our sessions on the Mighty Network, our Mighty Network, or our TVC community platform, which you guys can join. And this festival is to give you a kind of taste of the things that we do monthly. We have monthly networks. We have first look at jobs, opportunities, news. So this is we have a vibing community already that happens online, and this is to kind of give you a taste of what we're about. Without further ado, I am going to bring Mr. David Cornwall on stage, and welcome him. Thank you very much, David. Should appear. There you are, David. Make sure you've got your camera on. It's such a joy to have you here. Thank you, David, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Simone and the TV Collective for having me. And welcome, everyone. I hope you've had your morning coffee or turmeric tea, whatever it is.
I love it.
Yeah, so I don't know quite know how the session will go, but my plan for the session is to sort of introduce myself. Hopefully, I have a presentation for you, which will make life easier. And then I think we'll take questions after
Love that.
that.
I love that.
Um,
You know what I'm going
yeah.
to do? What I'm going to do is I know that Lily's sorting out your presentation. I mean, most people know who you are. You've been around for a while. You're like probably one of the most respected and well-known kind of independent distributors, particularly of I love it. of global majority content. And you're a G. I've known you. I've been doing TV Collective for about 17 years, and you have always been present. You've always been around doing your thing. So I know that you are a G up in this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step backstage, give you the stage, and allow you to do your thing. If you need me, just give a holler. Also, guys, if you've got any questions, like Lily says, please put them in questions in the question section or pop them in chat. We'll be monitoring. This session is really about you. So he's the expert. He's an expert in his field. Utilize him, ask him loads of questions. Don't be shy. I'm gonna step backstage and hand over to you, sir. See you in a minute. I don't know if I can work it
Yeah,
out together.
let me know about the presentation when that's
Definitely, I will let you know. Lily,
when that's
how's
ready
the
to go.
presentation going? Is it good?
You come back on stage to say, I'm really sorry, David, I still haven't had your email.
You don't have the email.
No. So let me email you and you can reply to it.
Okay. Da, 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 da.
Apologies. They just let us you guys know that we're human and this is definitely live. No, well, while Lily gets the presentation, we're having a little bit of technicals in terms of getting people to share. But by the time we get to the end of the day, we would have mastered that. So while
Mhm.
these guys are sorting it out, you've emailed it today?
This is huge. This is for yesterday. It went too well yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah, David, you emailed it. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and reply.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Should I send you guys off? Do you want to go off backstage while you do that, or David is looking
um,
intently for his email? Are you guys are doing that? Listen, guys, what are you hoping to get out of this session? The guys that have tuned in, what are you hoping? Why have you kind of joined the session? It'd be really useful for me to know. Drop it into chat. Sharon, what are you hoping to get out of the session today? Let me know. And Vinny, I see you as well, and I know you guys have started a production company quite recently, so I'd love to hear what you're hoping to get out of the session today. Jason as well, please let me know, so that we can make sure that we're getting during to broaden my knowledge, please. Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah, Grayson from Canada, is distribution the same for you? And what are you hoping to get out of the session as well? Be really useful to let me know. Have
yeah,
you?
that's a good idea, Simone. Let's find out what people want to know rather than me just rambling on.
No, I mean you.
Um,
Whatever you say, I know will be.
yeah, so
But people
I've
generally, I
tried
think
again with
this. Woo!
what's this?
Presentation.
Is
Likewise,
this?
but
Can you see that, guys?
everybody can see it. Right. I'm going to jump off stage
I
and you
can't hear
can.
you, Simone.
Everybody can see that, sir. It looks wonderful. We can all see it. Look, you can see the thumbs up.
Okay, I'll just assume that our systems go. So yes, my name's David Cornwall. I've been in distribution since 2001, so a while. I started out by accident if I'm honest. Back in the day, they used to advertise jobs in the Guardian. Um, and there was a job in the Guardian for a runner in TV, and I was like, "Woohoo, TV! I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be the next Denzel." So I went along for the interview, and I was interviewed by the head of production and the head of distribution, not knowing what either of them were. And the head of distribution just took me on, and that's basically how I learned the craft, the dark arts of distribution. We actually started off selling little clips, little the head of the company was making short films about the crazy Brits and selling them around the world. And we were actually then selling those clips on for use in other productions. That then grew into making documentaries. I was selling those documentaries. That then grew into selling formats, game shows, dramas, the whole sort of gamut. And then I left there in 2009 to set up Scorpion TV, which only focuses on documentary. And we love to get unique access stories out to a global audience. That's what we like to do. So next slide, please. 12 years old, with 20 years experience, as I've said. We work with producers big and small around the world. So we've got BBC content, PBS, we've got Channel 4 films on our books, but we also very much work with one-man bands, two-man bands, two-woman bands, people that have crafted their film. They really spent 3 years dedicating their waking hours to this film, and then they've given it to us to generate revenue around the world. We carry about 200 hours. We carry a lot of singles. Some distributors don't like singles. Obviously, there's more the more hours, the more money kind of thing. But we love singles. We like things that are thought provoking and open up your eyes to different worlds and things that get us excited. So that's why we champion single docs. And we have a multilingual sales team. It's a multilingual world, sadly. Not everyone speaks English. So yeah, Spanish speaking, Mandarin, Chinese speaking, these all help. People love to be spoken to in their own language, basically. So that helps for us. Next slide, please. Some of our partners, logos of TV channels you may or may not know. Netflix is not there. Amazon should be there. We do obviously work with streamers, large and small. But I will say that the majority of our sales is with television still and public service broadcasters. Public service broadcasters like the BBC in the UK, or SVT in Sweden, or Arte in France. They're the main buyers of single documentaries. So the days of, I want to get my film on Netflix, will Netflix buy my film? Probably not. They were buying a lot of single docs when they started, but now you know the model very well. They like to keep everything in-house as much as possible. And they're also very local. There's a Netflix in every country, and they want films about that country more often than not. Next slide, please. So these are some of our titles that we represent. Wildlife. Wildlife is by far the biggest seller of all documentaries. People just love it. This film is called Chile: A Wild Journey. The clue is in the title. It's a wildlife film about Chile. Wildlife sells so well because the animals don't speak, so you don't have to dub them. The person that does speak, the narrator, he can easily be replaced. It's beautiful. It's exciting. It's interesting. It can be shown at any time of day or night, and that's why it sells so well. Next slide, please. On the flip side, we have this beautiful BBC film called Seahorse, about a trans man who gave birth. So, a very sensitively handled film, a very intriguing subject, award-winning, made by Grain, the Oscar-winning production company. And just to follow his journey, it's extremely revelatory. So that's an example of a high-profile film that has been trusted to us. Next slide, please. Science works really well. This is a science film about animals and music. Do animals appreciate music? And if so, why? You may have seen that YouTube video of the dancing parrot, that bops along to the beat. Amazingly, he actually changes his momentum with the beat. He goes faster and slower. So parrot's got a groove. Popular science is exactly that. It's popular. This film is sold all over. Why? Because it's surprising. Animals and music. Who would have thought of that? What is that about? It's intriguing. It's well shot. There's lots of new information. You come away knowing more than you come in with, and it's very accessible. There's great science. There's great interviews, and there's animals. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Next slide, please. Another high-profile film, Meeting the Beatles in India. We found this film at a festival, and that's how we find most films actually, is at film festivals. We saw it, we spoke to the producer, and he offered it to us to sell around the world. It has sold really well. It doesn't have Beatles music in it, which, it would be better if it did, of course. But music is actually something for you guys to think about, because commercial music is basically the death of documentaries. It is so expensive to clear that it often cannot be used for worldwide sales. So that is something to always think about. Is my music cleared? Is my footage cleared? It's all about keeping your costs as low as possible. Whenever you want to sort of make a profit, on the back end of your production. This film is actually about a guy who went to India with a backpack and bumped into the Beatles. Can you believe it? And he joined them at the ashram. And I don't know if you've seen those photos of the Beatles in India sitting in a line in the ashram. He actually took those photos. So even though it doesn't have the music, it has some incredible, unique photos that buyers really like. And again, it's what's new. What are you telling me that I don't already know? This is what buyers really are interested in, and what audiences are interested in. Everyone's competing with Netflix now, which is good actually. It's raised the game for everybody. So all films really have to knock it out the park. Otherwise, I can't compete, and you're not providing a service that I'm interested in. So I'm not going to buy that film, kind of thing. So yeah. Next slide, please. This is a big film, A President, Europe and War. It's a French film. We have very few foreign language films. I don't know why foreign language films don't sell. Everybody wants to hear English, even though they don't speak English. They might be in Taiwan. They might be, in Senegal. People just prefer English language. I think it's because even if they don't, even if it's not their first language, they do know some English. So for some reason, English films just sell way better than foreign language films. However, this film is about President Macron, and it's about the first 28 days of the Russia invasion of Ukraine. And there's like a fly on the wall. So he's on the phone to Putin. He's on the phone to Boris Johnson. The access is incredible, and that's why we went for this film. We had to pay quite a big advance to clear the footage. But because it was such an extraordinary film, we took a gamble, and luckily it paid off. It sold very well, and it continues to hold interest, even though it's about the first 28 days of the war. It's such an extraordinary film that it continues to sell. Next slide, please. More Science, In Your Face, is about facial recognition and about the science of our brains recognizing faces and not recognizing faces. Some people cannot recognize their own, relatives, and some people can recognize a face in a crowd of 3,000, and they're actually used by the police, and they're called super recognizers. And it's also about how facial recognition technology discriminates and cannot quite get people with darker skins can't quite get their faces right, which might actually be a good thing. But anyway, so yeah, again, new science, um, yeah, revelatory content, interesting, and again, science sells really well. Next slide, please. I don't know how well you can see this, but this is so I'm going to talk about the cache. Um, this is a snapshot. It's not all of our sales, but it's like the top 10 or whatever, however many's on there. The top 10 places that we sell our films around the world. And that big line in the middle is Germany. Germany is our biggest client. Public service in Germany is really strong. Public service TV in Germany is really strong. There's lots of channels, and there's lots of places to sell. And yeah, it kind of surprised me, to be honest, that Germany would be such a great client. But yeah, long may it continue. They've got a very educated audience who love to learn about the world. And the next one along, next to Germany, is Scandinavia. So that's Sweden, Norway, Denmark. Again, great, strong public service broadcasters over there. I'm looking for my films to sell in Germany and Scandinavia, basically. Then I'm thinking, okay, what else? Where else can we make sales? So you can see that most of the sales are in Europe. UK is in there, and then Western Europe, Spain, Italy, are big clients of ours. So most of our films will sell into Europe. Moving on to the left, onto the United States. Yes, it's not the biggest buyer. They pay the most, but they buy the least. Now, where have we heard that before in life? Yeah, that's always the way. They pay the most, but they buy the least. So um, everybody wants to sell to the States, but there are not a lot of documentary places to sell into the States. There's only one public service channel, PBS, and they're not even, they're sort of funded by donations, and they have to really fundraise. They're not a license fee channel. So then you've got the commercial channels, and then you've got the Nat Geos and the Discoveries, and that's all in a sort of turmoil right now. So yeah, United States love to sell there, but it's difficult to do. China don't pay very much. As Sorry, that's Russia. In fact, Russia was a reasonable client. This is from 2021, so they were a reasonable client. But yeah, it's a big white space on the map there. And then Asia, I think that's Japan and probably Hong Kong. That's where you're likely to sell in Asia. You can pick up little. This is just the top 10, so there's lots of. The map will be filled with lots of little deals. But Australia's in there, as Australia loves UK content. Coronation Street, anything like that, they love it. So yeah, if your film's about the UK and it's sort of broadly accessible, then you'll probably sell it in Australia. And then Africa. Africa is a big desert. Um, we do very little sales in Africa. Documentary is just hard in Africa. The fees are low, and I think documentary is kind of like a middle class thing. Yeah, when you have an active and growing middle class, then you tend to see documentary sales. Otherwise, dramas. You know the deal. Korean, Japanese, telenovelas. That's what you're mainly going to sell to lower income countries, I would say. Next slide, please. Okay, so yeah, just reiterating the map. Sales by country. Again, Germany way out in front. Sweden, UK, USA had to be in there. Australia, all right. Australia is number 5. France, Belgium, Spain, yeah. Oh, a bit of Eastern Europe, Czech Republic, okay. A little bit of Eastern Europe, Poland, Russia, Middle East. Middle East, yeah. Lots of channels in the Middle East, hard to crack, they probably would prefer to speak Arabic, I guess. Um, and I don't, and are they that into Western documentaries? Probably not. But you've got those big news channels in the Middle East. You've got Al Jazeera, you've got Al Arabiya, amongst others. So the news channels can be, a good place to sell documentaries. Next slide, please. So this is sort of showing you where VOD fits into our sales. As I said, most of our sales are with television channels in respective countries. So that outweighs all the VOD sales. So the worldwide VOD sales don't are not more than the worldwide country sales, the individual country sales. So, and there are lots of VOD platforms. There's not only Netflix and Amazon, as I'm sure you know, and not even the top 5, Peacock, Apple, etc. There's 50, 60 smaller specialist VOD platforms and non-specialist VOD platforms and VOD platforms in different countries. And YouTube. YouTube is a big buyer of our old films. So we've got 5 or 6 companies working for us on YouTube. Non-exclusively, one film is on there 5 times, generates income every month, and it's nice. So definitely for older films, YouTube is a good earner for us, and we try to get as much of our films on there as possible. But still, yeah, obviously that model is a revenue share, which is hit and miss. So we'd much rather get the license fees and the money up front from the broadcasters in the individual countries. Next slide, please. Sales by film. Okay, so I don't know how well you can see that. I'll read them out. So, okay, there's not a massive difference in the sales. And I think these are all the single films. I haven't included series in here. Yeah, just to because obviously series would just would make things imbalanced. So I think these are all single films. And there's not a massive difference, in the sales. Everything, in the top 10 sells, fairly well. Out in front, and also it depends on how old the film is. It could have been up there for 6 months or 3 years as the time frame is. So Bug Sex is a film about, again, wildlife meets science. It's about bug sex. So how bugs procreate and all the weird and wonderful ways they do that. Amazing science, amazing camera work, macro cameras getting right in there, things we haven't seen before. You don't need David Attenborough, to tell a good wildlife story. It's really all about the information that you're getting across. So Bug Sex is number 1. Number 2 is Chile, A Wild Journey, as we've mentioned. Number 3, Seahorse. Number 4, Football Fans. Football Fans is interesting. It's an ITV doc about racism in football from football fans. It's called Football Fans Under Their Skin, and it features Robbie from AFTV. who some of you may know, and he's actually presenting it and talking about the issues about racism in football. So I'm pleased to say that film has travelled, and the message is getting out there. So that's great. The Musical Animal we mentioned, Meeting the Beatles we mentioned, The Forest Within Us is another wildlife film. A President, Europe and War we mentioned. The World's Biggest Family is another science film about anonymous sperm donation. And then In Your Face we mentioned. So yeah, so science, wildlife, a bit of current affairs, and yeah, that's pretty much what sells. Next slide, please. Okay, again, I don't know how well you can see this, but these are the license fees that people pay in Western Europe. So how much will you get for your film? So there's three colors there, blue, red, and green. Sadly, I would ignore the green because that's so it's low, middle, and high. So ignore the high. Look at the red, the middle. So yeah, Germany dollars, $25,000. Actually, for Germany, you can get more than that. You can get the high. I think Bug Sex we sold to Germany for 60,000 euros, which is pretty good. Yeah, so Germany you can get bigger deals. Austria, yeah, about 5. Benelux, Belgium, and Netherlands, yeah, about 10. Probably a bit more, I would say. France, what is that? 20? Yeah, that's about right. Can be low in France. France can pay low. People will try to get away with what they can, of course, depending what rights they want. Do they only want cable rights? Do they only want VOD rights? Do they only want free TV rights and all that stuff? So France, Spain is about 5. Is about 5 in general. Italy, yeah, is about 10, I would say. Scandinavia, all the countries combined, yeah, that's about 20. Turkey, doesn't quite register. And the UK, yeah, about 20, depending on the channel, of course. If it's BBC, ITV, that's a different story. But for the most part, you're going to be selling your films to the cable channels in the UK. So that's kind of the money that you're looking at. Next slide, please. Americas, yeah. So, yeah, United States. And that fact, United States, I would look at the big number, which is about 100K. Like I say, they pay the most, but they buy the least. So if you can catch a sale to the States, that is the number that I would be starting at and higher, of course, to try to get to the 100. You can obviously get lower deals than that, and obviously there are smaller channels in the States, but that is the number that I would be looking at. And then Latin America, yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. They don't like to hear English, so they prefer Spanish, and they like local Spanish as well, not Spanish from Spain. So you have to dub the films, and then again, documentary market isn't that developed in Latin America, sadly. And then Canada on the far left, yeah, good clients, and that's round about what they pay. 15 to 20,000 is round about what they pay in Canada. Next slide, please. Asia, yeah, again, ignore the high. The median in Asia, Australia, in fact, is probably less than that. Most of my deals in Australia are around about the 10,000 mark. Yeah, so that's the kind of money you'll get in Australia. China, yeah, they pay very little. They pay very low, considering how many people there are. I've never quite got my head around that. But yeah, you won't get much out of China, and it's a difficult market to work in as well. Japan is a consistent buyer in the middle there. Yeah, they pay around 15 to 20, can be more depending on what it is. And then at the end, yeah, a pan regional deal. That's a great deal to get if you can, like a Discovery, Nat Geo, Asia Pacific deal. Yeah, that's the kind of money you'll be looking at on the top end as well. So yeah, and of course we do as many deals as we can, even though they're small. We try to rake in as much as we can from not only television but online, as I've mentioned. In flight, we sell to airplanes, educational deals. We sell to schools and colleges around the world and libraries. So yeah, we try to sort of do as many deals as possible all over the world, and that's sort of what makes the business tick. Next slide, please. And in Middle East, Africa, yeah, again, you can see now the numbers have come right down, and you can see that really only South Africa is buying seriously in the continent. Um, and yeah, most of the time we do pan-regional deals, as I've mentioned, in the Middle East. Yeah, with the news channels, the Al Jazeera's and the Al Arabia's. They're mostly the kind of deals that we do. Next slide, please. Oh, it's over. Yeah, why should you work with us? Like I say, we've been around for a long time. We love single films. We love crafted films, curated films. We love working with producers and getting their stories out into the world. And we'd love to hear from you. And that's my presentation.
That was fantastic, David. That was a brilliant and really insightful. And I know there was things that I was saying in
Simone,
chat.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me. Can you not hear me? Oh, no.
I cannot hear a thing. I can hear me, which is good.
Oh, because I'm on mute. That's why you can't hear me. Schoolgirl error. That was fantastic, and there's loads of questions, a few questions coming in. Thank you so much. I love the idea of bug porn. I love them. People are so insane. They do like sex. You was talking about bug porn, the bug animal thing that was doing really well, that you sold really well. Let me jump to questions. I'm going to invite people to. I'm going to show the question on the stage and invite people to answer the question themselves. Grayson, you had a question.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk early. I don't want to be inundated with every single idea.
No. This is just
I'm
some
happy to
decisions.
sort of give a brief sort of overview of a project, but
Yeah.
really we sell finished films, or you can come to us late in development and you can say, look, I've got some money. I've got the BBC attached. I need a bit more, and then we can go to the Germans and the Europeans and the Canadians and say, look, are you interested in this project? Do you want to come on board early and invest early? So that we can do. So late stage development, the package is a bit more together. Excuse me, or finished.
Okay, I don't know. I think Grayson's going to join us. Let's see whether she wants to, if that answered the question fully. Grayson, are you there? Sweetheart, thank you. Joy. All right, Grayson, you're on mute. That's it. Wonderful.
I think he just answered it. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. Bring in on Pelish. You've got a question. Let me show your question and invite you to come on to the stage. Thanks, David. Great stuff.
Well, you know what I'm going to say, right? But the only reason I would say to go with a distributor is because broadcasters like to work with distributors because we speak each other's language. We know what they want in terms of materials. We know what the contract looks like. Yeah, it's just easier for broadcasters to work with distributors. You're very welcome to try and approach broadcasters yourself. I think the reason why producers work with distributors is because they don't want to do the distribution. But if you do want to do it, definitely have a go. I know someone that did their own educational distribution in the States, and they took it on themselves because it was a film that they could actually they were like an expert about the subject, so they could talk and they could do webinars, etc. And yeah, it worked out really really well for them. But it's a lot of work because you have to go around individual colleges, not physically, but with a database and present your film, etc. So if you're prepared to do the legwork, sure. But you might find that broadcasters just don't want the headache of dealing with every single producer.
Okay, wonderful, Pelish. Sorry to mute you. We were getting some feedback. Do you want to unmute? Does that answer your question for you? The unmute button is next to the video button. Sorry if I've unmuted you. I hope I haven't. Yeah, good, wonderful. Yeah, unmute you. You did it.
No problem. No problem. Can you?
Yeah, we can hear you. Wonderful.
No, thank you. Thank you. That's. Thank you. That was very helpful. Just a little supplementary question to the previous one, to Grayson's one, was I guess the big question is if we approach you at an earlier stage, can your insights
Am I waiting for something, or I can't hear anything?
Oh, you're not hearing. Oh, hold on.
Oh, you can't hear.
Hold on one sec. I'm not sure why you're not being able to hear. You should be able to hear. Because I can hear the question. Say that question. Can you hear me, David? I can hear the question. Say that question. Can you hear me, David? David, we can hear. Everybody can hear here. David, we can hear. Everybody can hear here. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. David, are you still with us? No, you're not. Can you hear? No,
I can't hear anything. I can't hear Simone. I don't know if you can hear me. I guess you can. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I can't hear you.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I'm gonna. All right. Wait. See if we can put that question back up. Let's see if we can put a question up and find out what's happening here. I'm not sure why you can't hear us, and we've got. All right, I'm going to put up a next question. Okay, let's put another question up.
Docudrama is tricky. Biopics, yes, if it's a big enough name. Docudrama depends what it is and how it's done. Obviously, it's the budget's increased. Is it done well? And if it's not a big budget docudrama, then is it done intelligently and cleverly, so that the reconstructions look good for the budget. So it's a little bit tricky docudramas. People want to see war battles, and all that stuff, and CGI and all that stuff. So yeah, if it's not up to that, then it can be tricky.
Okay, can you still hear me? Wonderful. Cool. There we go. Another one.
We are international. We work with Canadian distributors. Those science films I mentioned are actually from the nature of things, which I'm sure you know is a long-running Canadian science strand. So we work with producers in Canada, but the whole business is international. There are Canadian distributors that I'm sure have UK producers on their books. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's who you feel comfortable with, and that is actually an important point. Do your research. Why do you want to go with this distributor? Do they have a good name, track record in the industry? Does my film or work fit into their catalog? Yeah, so it's all about this business, like most businesses, about relationships. It's about your relationship with the distributor and the distributor's relationship with the buyers. So yeah, you have to feel comfortable where you are.
Wonderful. I am going to go here. I know this is you talked about biopics before, but if you just,
yeah, I wouldn't read a script personally. If you were to tell me, I don't know, I want to make a biopic about Denzel Washington, I I'd be like, okay, do you have access? How far are you down the road? Is anybody interested at all? They're the kind of questions like most things, you have to have interest to get interest. So you have to kind of be a bit further along for people to invest their time. So where would you go with a biopic? I don't know. Where would you go? Depends who it is, and it depends. I think you need to start with the access, or if it's someone that's not living, access to their estate, to their relatives. Um, you need to have a key, really. I would say, rather than a script. Because you need to have a bit more of the building blocks in place, I would say.
Okay, wonderful, David. I've got another question.
We're a sales agent. There is a sort of a grey area. I call myself a distributor. I am a sales agent. I think in the old days, a distributor was someone that sold films to the cinemas. So we would go to a Spanish distributor to sell the movie to cinemas in Spain, because obviously we cannot sell to Spanish cinema. Well, we might be able to, but that's what a distributor does in the old sort of terminology. And then you would have a sales agent for the world who would then find these local distributors. In TV and documentary, it's a bit different. We just distribute to all the TV channels. So we call ourselves distributor sales agent. It's kind of the same thing for television. So yeah, take your pick. And yeah, take your pick if you want to. Whatever works best for you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. We've got about 5 minutes. Have we got any more questions? I know you can't hear those that I bring up on stage, so I don't know if we've got any more questions from anyone. Please put them in the question distribution. I was just, there's a few things for me. I was just as we were going through, I was making comment about kind of it was so interesting the point that you made about class and documentaries and some of the territories where money's still coming up, that documentaries are not as well received. Do you think that will change? Do we see that, is there becoming to be more of an appetite in certain regions for documentaries? Is there anything, is it subject matter that makes it a little bit open, or is it still very hard to push documentaries in certain areas? I'm a documentary girl, so I'm a factual head, so I like docs, hence why I asked. David, you can't hear me at all, can you? I'm just talking to myself. All right, listen, guys, I am going to say thank you. I'm really sorry about the technical hiccups at the end. Bear with us. You can hear me fantastic. I apologize that David's lost kind of sound and can't hear. We will sort that. We've only got 4 minutes left, so we're gonna sign off a little bit earlier. Don't forget that you can meet us. Lily, come on stage and let us know about what times and what's going on.
Here I come.
Yeah, with our networking.
Just my curiosity. Hi, David. Can you hear me? No. Okay. No, never mind. What's happening? So yes, thank you very much, David. I don't know if he speaks sign, so thank you, David. What is next? That's a good question. Oh, it's so much. It's so exciting. So we have 5-minute connections in 1 hour at 11:30. That is our little speed networking session. So you get 5 minutes to get to know each other. And it's really great fun because at 4 minutes, the screen starts fading to black. So it is hilarious. I highly recommend it. At 1 p.m. For your lunch break, 1 to 2, you can book 10 minutes with one of our TVC experts. These are commissioners, producers, execs, people who work in compliance and legal and IP protection. And so you get 10 minutes with them to get some industry advice, or again, make that all important connection. And at 3 p.m, we are speaking to Cynthia Okoye from Curtis Brown on how to get an agent. I highly recommend that one because I don't know how, so I will be there.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Don't forget that the lounge area is open throughout the day. So please drop in at one of the tables and have a conversation and kind of connect with each other. We will be sharing. David, you can connect with David throughout the festival by DMing him. You remember we spoke about you can connect with anybody through the festival and obviously on our online platform. Thank you so much for being with us. It was a fantastic session and a really good one to start the day. And I hope it really has kind of inspired you in terms of how you can sell and monetize your content. I'm going to say thank you to David. I'm going to take him backstage and hopefully he'll see then. But David, thank you. Thank you, guys. We'll see you all very, very soon. Thank you.
See you in an hour. Bye.